Roar!
Ew. Sweetie Belle finds out where babies are made by TheOnly. Fillies. Fillies and colts rushed out of the school doors, their laughter filling the air. The bell had just rung, and there was no time to lose on such a beautiful day. As ponies moved farther away from the door, they broke off into different groups. Sweetie Belle found her way to Applebloom and Scootaloo, who were already in conversation. Sweetie Belle trotted up to them, and they both looked at her.
"What you talking about?"
asked Sweetie Belle.
"Didn't ya hear? Featherweight got a new baby brother,"
said Scootaloo. Applebloom nodded her head.
"A baby brother? What's his name?" "We don't know yet. Featherweight hasn't told us."
The ponies continued to talk about the subject, wondering what color the new baby's mane was, or whether he was a unicorn, Pegasus, or Earth pony. During the conversation, a small innocent question popped into Sweetie Belle's head. Without thinking, she blurted it out.
"Where do babies come from?"
Scootaloo and Applebloom looked at her.
"I don't know,"
said Scootaloo. Applebloom gave a shrug. They didn't pursue the topic any further, but the question remained implanted in Sweetie Belle's head. No matter what she did, she couldn't stop thinking about where babies came from. Luckily, she had an older sister who would surely know the answer. As the three friends trotted away from the school, Sweetie Belle broke off and said goodbye.
"Where you going?"
asked Applebloom.
"Yeah,"
started Scootaloo.
"I thought we were hanging out after school. Something just came up and I really need to get to it, so I'll see you later."
Sweetie Belle gave a sly smile before galloping off. Her friends stared, wondering what had gotten into her. Sweetie Belle arrived at home and burst through the door without knocking. She looked around the room for a short while before trotting in and going upstairs. Sure enough, Rarity was in her room humming a song while sewing a new dress. Sweetie Belle knew better than to disturb Rarity while she worked, but the matter was too important to wait.
"Rarity, wait! Sweetie Belle! You're home early. How have you been?"
Rarity trotted away from her sewing and trotted forward to give her sister a hug. Sweetie Belle reluctantly accepted it, her mind still set on the question.
"I've been fine. I need to ask you something, Rarity." "Go ahead. Anything." "Okay."
Sweetie Belle took a deep breath and cleared her throat.
"Where do babies come from?"
Rarity's eyes instantly widened and her genuine smile went to a nervous grin. She stared at Sweetie Belle, trying to process what she had been asked and how to answer.
Where do babies come from?"
Sweetie Belle nodded her head and Rarity searched her mind for an excuse she could give Sweetie Belle.
"Why would you want to know that?" "Because the fillies at school were talking about it and I want to know."
"Sweetie, you'll find out when you're older." Rarity smiled. It was a perfect excuse.
"But I want to know now!"
Rarity shook her head, but Sweetie Belle began to whine. Soon enough, Rarity couldn't handle the whining and found another excuse, but anything she said couldn't change Sweetie Belle's mind. She wouldn't give up. Eventually, Rarity gave in. She closed her eyes and sighed.
"All right, Sweetie Belle, I'll tell you. I guess you're old enough to handle it, and I shouldn't withhold any secrets from you. Sit down."
Sweetie Belle sat down and stared up at Rarity, who cleared her throat before beginning.
"Sweetie, there comes a time in a pony's life when they fall in love and—" "Skip that part. I just want to know about where the babies come from."
Rarity sighed once more.
"I was getting to that. Anyway, when two ponies love each other very much, they can decide to have a baby. When they make this decision, they go on a journey. Have you ever seen the Canterlot Mountain?"
Sweetie Belle nodded her head.
"Good. Well, the two ponies have to climb all the way to the top of the tall mountain. The mountain is very hard to get around, and it requires two ponies to do it. After the two ponies find their way up it, They reach the summit. Here there is a majestic fountain where the waters of love flow. There are beautiful trees that surround it and colorful flowers cover the ground. Once the ponies reach this fountain, they take a drink of the crystal clear water. And if they truly love each other, the magic of the fountain will produce a baby. Whether it is a filly or a colt is completely random. After the baby is given to the two ponies, the fountain shines brightly and teleports the two ponies to the bottom of the mountain where they began. This is because it is dangerous to descend the mountain with a newborn baby. And that, Sweetie Belle, is how babies are made.
Wait, but how does the fountain make babies?
The fountain is magic, Sweetie Belle.
Okay.
Sweetie Belle got up from her position on the ground.
Thanks for telling me, Rarity. You're the best.
No problem, Sweetie Belle.
Rarity waved a hoof as Sweetie Belle exited the room and went back out into Ponyville. Once she was safe distance away, Rarity let out a heavy sigh.
That was a close one.
Sweetie Belle trotted along the pathway and spotted her friends. She galloped over to talk with them.
Hey guys!
Scootaloo and Applebloom looked at her.
Sweetie Belle, where did you go?
Asked Scootaloo.
I asked Rarity where babies came from. And?
Asked Applebloom.
She told me the biggest pile of baloney I have ever heard. She really expected me to believe it too.
Sweetie Belle proceeded to relay the story that Rarity had told her to the other two. They laughed after she had finished.
This is such a dumb fake story,
said Scootaloo.
Yeah, I'm going to ask Twilight. She's smart. I bet she knows.
Sweetie Belle trotted off once more, leaving Scootaloo and Applebloom to play by themselves. Within a few minutes, Sweetie Belle was at the library. She knocked on the door and Twilight answered, allowing her to come in. They greeted each other quickly, but Sweetie Belle didn't want to waste any time. She got right to the point.
Twilight, where do babies come from?
The question caught Twilight off guard, and she found herself fidgeting with her mane while she thought of a response.
Sweetie Belle? You're too young to know that.
I want to know now!
Sweetie Belle was becoming tired of that excuse.
Well, I guess you were bound to find out anyway. Babies are made when...
Twilight went on to describe sex and birth in graphic detail.
Usually the stallion will be on top, but the mare can be too.
Sweetie Belle felt herself wanting to throw up.
And it looks like they're wrestling, but they really aren't. And the stallion moves back and forth and...
Sweetie Belle silently regretted asking the question.
Then the stallion shoots a stream of...
Sweetie Belle felt her innocence being slowly sucked from her body.
The mare has a chance to have a baby.
Sweetie Belle thought that the worst of it was over, but then Twilight started to describe childbirth. Sweetie Belle winced at her description. She regretted picking the pony with the best vocabulary in Ponyville to describe the process to her.
And then, after all the screaming and crying is done, a new baby is brought into the world.
Sweetie Belle sat silently, processing all the information. She trotted silently out of the library and back to her group of friends.
Hey, you'll never guess what Twilight just told me.
Scootaloo and Applebloom listened closely as Sweetie Belle repeated what Twilight had said. After she had finished, all the ponies were silent for a moment. Scootaloo looked at her with wide eyes.
That is the biggest pile of shit I've ever heard.
Hello and welcome back to Common Time with Visual Pony. I am Visual Pony and I will again remind you that you can support Pony&Wolf Productions through the links down in the description. Every dollar is needed, helps, and is very much appreciated. So, also, if you had gone ahead and supported us, you could have listened to this story way earlier. Because, yes, you do get early access to our works. So, what do I have to say about this one? I must say that the entire thing that Rarity told Scootaloo, Sweetie Belle, is, oh my God. A magic fountain that just creates folds? No. Rarity, you don't do that. That is so much bull. And yes, Twilight here is right. Sweetie Belle was bound to find out eventually. I mean, when did I have my first sex ed class? I think it was in 2nd or 3rd grade. I'm actually not kidding. It wasn't called sex ed, but that's basically what it was. And then again in 6th grade and 7th grade. So yeah, kids are not dumb. You know, they will be curious about that kind of stuff eventually. And just putting this, talk off like Rarity did here, or feeding them some kind of bull. Oh god. I mean, the whole problem with her feeding her a load of bull was, well, I remember an anecdote from my dad. I remember that specifically, and when he was younger, and he told me that he was apparently talking to some of his friends in the schoolyard when they were around like 14, 15, and they were getting on the topic of intercourse, and one of his friends got really angry at him and was like, "Oh no, how could you say something like that? My parents would never do that." Yeah, that's how people like that are created, if you coddle them too much. I mean, sure, they shouldn't have done what they did with my class back in the day, like 2nd grade. I think that's a bit too young. But, yeah. The word of the day is savory soup. Signing off, Visual Pony.